If you're getting ready to retire and you have a pension, make sure that you watch this video. Figuring out what to do with your pension. Take the monthly benefit or take the lump sum. It can be complicated. On the surface, it comes down to, do you want control of those assets, or do you like the idea of a guaranteed stream of income? But there's a lot of different kind of nuances to making that pension decision. And I just want to make sure that you realize that when you go through this thought process, you want to look at it from a lot of different angles. And then of course, if you have further questions or if you want to dive into this with a professional, I'm happy to do that. But number one, when you're looking at the pension, make sure that you think about what's the financial health of this pension, of the company that you've worked for so many years. That's a big one. You also want to think about your life expectancy, your health. How are you in terms of, are you going to live hopefully 5, 10, 20, 30 plus years? Do you have that longevity in your family? I completely understand this is one of the biggest unknowns, but of course, this does play into the equation. Now, if you're married, you've got to make the decision on what to do with the spousal benefit. Typically, a pension is going to offer you, if you predecease your spouse, maybe 100% goes to your spouse, or maybe 75%, or maybe it's 50%. It is different for every pension, but those are different considerations in terms of cash flow planning for you and for your loved ones throughout those retirement years. So that's a big one that you want to weigh into the factor. Another consideration that you should think about, does this pension have a COLA? Now, COLA stands for Cost of Living Adjustment. And the way I like to describe that is, do you get a raise every year, similar to what you're doing when you're working, but do you get a small raise in your pension throughout your retirement? Now, some pension plans offer a monthly benefit that just stays the same forever. And that's where we have to weigh the pros and the cons of, what about inflation? If inflation kicks in, that's going to erode the buying power over time of that monthly benefit. Let's say that your pension does have a COLA, that cost of living adjustment. What is it tied to? How does it work? Does it grow every year? Is it guaranteed? That COLA, that's something that you really do need to think about. And then there's also this thing called period certain. So this is even a little bit more complicated in a lot of cases, but again, we want to think about the longevity of the cash flow. If you were to choose the monthly benefit with the pension, you start receiving it, and then unfortunately, if you were to suddenly pass away, well, what happens to that benefit? Now, we just talked about spousal options, but there's this other idea of period certain. No matter what happens for maybe 5 years, monthly benefit payments will go to somebody, or maybe it's 10 years. So that's the period certain. You're just kind of guaranteeing those payments will continue even after your death within the first 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. Now, again, figuring out the pros and the cons of choosing the spousal benefit option or the period certain option means that we've got to choose a reduced monthly benefit so that we have these guarantees in place for our loved ones. And just in terms of options, again, what I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to take control, if you want to have access to the entire pension amount, that's what's called a lump sum distribution. It's really important that you know what options you have there, because typically you don't want to just ask for a check so you can put that in your checking account. That's a huge taxable event. That entire amount that you'd receive would be taxed as regular income. Instead, what you most likely want to do is a qualified rollover. So transfer the pension lump sum from the pension over to typically an IRA. That way the funds are available, you can get to them if you need them, but it's not a taxable event until you start taking withdrawals from the IRA. I'm just kind of touching the bases on all the different ideas and considerations that you should be thinking about when it comes to the pension monthly benefit versus lump sum. I've got a great checklist. I'm going to put a link down below if you want to get access to this. And then as always, if you have more questions, let's connect, put something on the calendar. My name is Alan Hensley. I'm a wealth advisor at Merriman Wealth Management in Seattle, Washington. And I hope you like these videos. I'm thinking about making a whole series on money in motion, what your options are when you either leave your job or retire. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll hopefully make a video about it soon. Thanks so much. Have a great day.